Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Xpert Talk, where we will be focusing on hospitality and hospitality careers and a little bit of marketing as well, I think. Just first of all, to give you all an image of what Nexgen Careers is and what we do. Nexgen Careers is all about supporting individuals finding success in the future world of work. So we have a digital career exploration platform where we run online courses in career design and skills development. And we also run on-site courses, partly here in Barcelona, but also in other parts of the world. And we're actually running our first on-site program starting on Monday next week. And we're really, really excited. It's going to be a program about the future of work and how different bits are going to be, careers. Yeah. Future of work. Yeah, careers in the future of work. So we're really, really excited about that. And apart from that, we also provide free resources on about the fields most prominent in the future world of work. And we also run these expert talks with professionals from the real world of work so that you can better prepare for what's out there. They're free for everyone to join. We go live on LinkedIn about twice a week. So keep an eye out there. And if you're an educator, by the way, we also have a World of Work for Educators series also on LinkedIn that we're launching today, right after this talk. So if you want information about that, go check out our LinkedIn page and you can find the links there. So let me introduce now Maria, who is our guest today. Maria graduated from Haga Helia. How's my Finnish pronunciation? University of Applying Sciences in Helsinki. And she studied hospitality management over there. And then she went out in the real world to look for work, and she didn't really know exactly what the jobs that she could apply for, like what they sort of entailed. And eventually Maria landed a corporate job at Intercontinental Hotels Group and started to explore what job roles there were actually out there in the industry. And she started learning more and more about the field of hospitality and what jobs there were actually out there and what those roles entailed. So she was like, how can I share this with other people, with other students that are facing the same issue that I faced when I graduated? So she started a YouTube channel called the Savvy Hotelier, where you can find tips and tricks on how to navigate a career in the hospitality industry. But also, I've seen that you started posting videos on marketing a little bit too. And today she works at Future Hotels in London, and she also runs her own brand agency focused on hospitality. So welcome, Maria. How are you doing today?
Oh, thank you so much for that introduction. Yeah, it's great to be here. And yes, I'm having a fantastic sunny day here in UK, so I'm really much enjoying it. And yeah, you're completely right in the short synopsis, I guess, of my short career, I suppose, is that even though I studied hospitality, what I knew was possible in terms of career options was quite driven by what was presented to me at university. But once I kind of accidentally fell into this corporate role, I realized there was just a lot more to it, and there are a lot more avenues you can go and take. And they don't have to be as prescribed or as linear as it may seem. Kind of usually, at least back when I was school, it was very much you go restaurant field, you go hotel field, and that's pretty much some other options, but it was harder to explore those options because the professionals weren't readily available for us to understand, to speak with them, to kind of learn from them. And so once I kind of got my head around what is possible, and not that I know everything yet, things change all the time. It's just there really is a lot that you can explore, and you really don't need to limit yourself, especially not at the start of your career.
No, exactly. I love that you highlight that because it's important to keep your eyes open and see what's out there. So I just want to start off with the first question to speak a little bit about hospitality in itself, and because it's such a magnificent industry. I come from there myself. I keep advocating for hospitality on these talks, but I really think it's an amazing field with a lot of possibilities. But I want to start off by asking, what does hospitality mean to you?
Yeah, very interesting question. When I was choosing my degree, it was the only thing I could do based on what I envisioned my work life to look like. And to be honest, my only vision for work life was that I wanted to work with people, and that directly, the only option translated into restaurants and that kind of like direct communication with people, with customers. And so I thought hospitality in tourism and sort of bigger scope of that would be the ideal way. And I think today still hospitality means to me that more personal interaction, that personal touch, and really being hospitable. I guess that's exactly where it's come from, is to connect with people and have opportunities to sort of explore, build a global network. It's just a really big people focused mindset for me. That's what hospitality is all about.
Amazing. Yeah, it truly is a great field for anyone who's sociable and wants to hang out with people all day. Yeah, and it's a global field. Like you get to interact with people from all over the world, which is really beautiful about it too. But we mentioned a little bit in the beginning that you've been working a little bit in corporate, and you also have your YouTube channel, and you're doing some branding stuff as well. So like, I guess you don't have maybe the super typical hospitality career as one might envision when you think about hospitality management and how you might grow in that ladder. So since you have a little bit of a special career path, squiggly one, as we like to call it,
Squiggly, yes.
Squiggly one. What is your actual, like, what does your day-to-day look like? What are the different bits and pieces of your job that you're doing?
Yeah, really, it's a good question. Who knows? If you look back at myself, well, before the pandemic, 2 years ago, my day-to-day was pretty simple. I would kind of head off to work before 9, do the sort of 9 to 5, depending on what's happening, mostly 9 to 5. And then I would kind of go home or go do kickboxing, whatever it is that people do in the evening, go to the gym and stuff like that. So that was pretty much standard. I would occasionally go on holiday and plan for those things in advance. For now, it's crazy. It's different pretty much every day, every week to week or so, varies as well, depending on what projects I've got going on, or what sort of the focus that I'm going with. Or if I don't have a lot going on, I might want to take a day off. That can also be one of those days. But for now, to be realistic, I've got a sort of 3 days commitment, 3 days a week commitment that I work for somebody. So I've got a specific allocated time slots that I'm committed to them, about on average 3 days a week. So the rest of the time, so 2+ days a week of work, are pretty much up to me to decide of what I want to do. So I attend sometimes events like this. Thankfully, Cecilia reached out to me, and build my own brand, do my own marketing. I work on other client projects, and look for new clients, which is a really big part of being freelance and being self-employed, is to kind of build that network and build that pipeline of potential future income. So yeah, it really varies depending on the day-to-day, but because at the moment I've got a big commitment, kind of is a priority.
Yeah, and that's really interesting. I didn't actually know that since before, that you split your week, and like 3 days you work for someone and the other 2 days you do your own stuff. And that's, I think, something really important to highlight, is that that's actually an option. Like we talk about the gig economy and, like how you can, like that's becoming more of a thing, or it is, like in the fourth industrial revolution and all these things in the future work. So I think it's really interesting that you are doing that. Like, how did you, was that like a natural path for you, or how was that journey to move on from like corporate into starting gigging for yourself,
Yeah, I mean, it was last year, kind of had some opinions. It helped a little bit. No, I've been kind of looking for a change in my career, and I've been looking to move from that corporate role into something else, mostly because I wanted to experience a different kind of company, a different way of thinking, and gaining a bit of perspective. Turned out that change came out in a different way, let's put it that way. And as I was sort of at home trying to figure out what I'm doing next after being made redundant, this was something that seemed like it's the only option in a way, other than there were other options, obviously, but the other options were things I really wasn't that keen on doing. So I'm very much interested in brand management. I'm very much kind of want to do the stuff that I did at work, but I know these are not the roles that are being hired for, because those are the roles that are being made redundant. So I decided I'm going to give it a go, because freelancers are always out there. They always kind of have work. You just have to learn how to do it and how to get clients. So that was a whole new challenge out of nowhere. It's like, okay, how do I do that? But yeah, it wasn't necessarily a smooth transition. It took a long time for me to figure out what I wanted to look like and what it is I'm good at, in the sense that I can comfortably sell myself online and talk to people about it. For some people, it comes naturally. For some people, it's harder. So you really have to figure out where your strengths are. And kind of, I think you're about a year in now, and I'm trying to, okay, I think I'm okay. So it does take a while. I mean, for others, it may be a few weeks and then they kind of get started faster and get it all figured out. That's fantastic. But it really, we'll have our own individual journeys when it comes to these things. So yeah, it varies. So me figuring this out I think it's still a journey. Who knows what it's going to look like next year.
Exactly. And that's what careers are all about. It is a journey and it never stops. Just keep going. And that speaks for so much resilience, Maria, that you were made redundant. It was like, screw it, I'm going to go freelance and do my own thing. Like, that takes a lot of courage and a lot of resilience, which I think a lot can like feel inspired by. So that's sort of when you started your YouTube channel then?
No. The YouTube? No, actually, that came about earlier. That came about a year before.
Okay,
I can't remember how many years it's been. The YouTube channel was mostly populated last year, because I had a bit more time, had a bit more headspace to figure out the kind of content I wanted to make. But the idea of Savvy Hotelier came about earlier, because I was still in work and I had access to all this information. I had just this epiphany. It's like, there's more to it. More people can benefit from this information, which isn't secret information. It's just things that, here's a job role that you can do. It's just not something that they tell you about in university. And it's been maybe 2 or 3 years now. Can't remember at this point. But last year mostly was when I created most of the videos that are currently there. And, if anyone's watching on recording or live, if you have any sort of things you're thinking about, let us know and I'll make content around that, because I'm thinking of, I need to make more time to create more content, because obviously I'm getting some views and people want to know this and people are interested. So I really need to provide the people what they want.
Give us more.
Yes.
Give us more. No, but sorry, continue.
Yeah, definitely. I just want to find that niche as well for myself within something that you want to know more about, and I'll share my knowledge. I'll find someone who may know better and more than me, and build that community for you.
Yeah, definitely. Like that's how I found you, was because I was looking for content about the hospitality industry and somebody talking about careers in hospitality in specific for our platform. So I was so happy when I found you, and like all these videos that you've been making about like finding a job in event management, or like these are job roles you didn't know existed in the hotel industry, or and all of these things, and also networking tips, which we will talk about a little bit later in this interview. But I think I just answered my own question right now, because I was going to ask you what we can learn about on your YouTube channel. But if there's something that I didn't mention, do you want to cover that?
What else did I make a video about? There's a couple of really old cringy ones, but other than that, I think that's pretty much it. Exactly. And there's a couple of things I'm thinking about in terms of just general stuff that I've had to learn the first 2 years, is how to be an employee, how to do certain work ethic things, how to organize yourself, how to manage your manager, because that's a huge thing. And those sort of stuff I've been thinking about sharing more tips about as well. Because it's a lot. I mean, learning how to write emails, learning how to follow up on things it's a whole new skill set. They don't teach you that in university, that's for sure.
Yeah, cool. It sounds like good ideas. I'm looking forward to seeing them. So next we're going to move on to like talk a little bit more about marketing, because that's also something that you do. And since we have like a marketing professional right here, I thought we'd take advantage of that. No, but something that we talk a lot about at Nexgen Careers is about developing your self brand and developing that personal brand and making yourself, you know, stand out, because on the work market as it looks like today, it can be really, really hard to get a job through like a job application. It's better to like, you know, promote yourself and work through networks, etc. So I wanted to ask you, like, how can we better market ourselves to land a job in the hospitality industry?
Yeah, tough one. But like you said, exactly, it's less about applying for jobs that are available. That's an important part of the job application process, is to look for companies that are actually looking for people. But a big part of it nowadays, and it wasn't just a few years ago, I think now it's more than ever, is your personal branding, your presence online, or even just especially offline presence. Like, you can't just have a great LinkedIn profile and have it all there, but in person not be the same, that maybe look the same or may not come across in the same way. You really have to be yourself online so that people can bring those two together as well. But it's kind of like a bit thinking of yourself as a business, I would say. So what does a business, a restaurant or digital business or whichever retail item you may be producing, you've got to understand who the target audience is. So it means, what kind of people do you want to work with? What kind of roles are you looking for? And try to reach out to them. So that's networking. It's building those connections. It's not just about selling or kind of reaching out to them only when you need something. It's really all about making sure that you are present. Your people are thinking about you. People know about you, and kind of ask yourself, as a business, what do I need to succeed? Do you need more skills? Do you need education? Do you need experience? How can I get that sort of my customer, aka the business, is a bit of an opposite perspective, but how can I get them to pay attention to me? And take yourself out of the equation, because I find it personally difficult, maybe because I'm a bit of a Nordic person, is to kind of think about myself as, look at me, I have all these skills. No, think about it as someone else. What can they do better? What can this business do better? Because we're better at giving advice to other people than following our own advice. So try to maybe take yourself out of the equation. Maybe that could help out as well.
That's such good advice. That's really, really cool, because I've been struggling with that myself, or like the whole thing with, well, I know a lot of other people also like struggle with imposter syndrome and all of these things. Like, how can I sell myself when I'm not even believing in myself? And then thinking of yourself as a different person, that kind of solves that problem.
Yeah, it's not easy, but it's just a perspective of kind of, it's less about I can do this, it's how can I help someone, because I'm an empathetic person. I want to help people, and maybe that way I can be more confident in my resume. It's finding those little things that work for you, because they're all different, and get someone else to help you out as well, and they can give you that outside perspective as well.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Cool. Thanks. And you touched a little bit upon like being social and talking to people about yourself and stuff. And based on my own experience, and I bet you know this too, like hospitality, that like one of the most important things to like make it in the hospitality industry, whether you work in restaurants or in hotels or in event, like, or even in the corporate world of hospitality, it's all about networking and about who knows who. So that makes it a lot easier to like land jobs and stuff. So I wanted to ask you, I know you made a video about this on your channel, so I was like, let's dip into this a little bit. What are your top 3 networking tips when it comes to hospitality, or in general?
I would say especially in hospitality, because it is a people business, people-driven business, and it has a lot of traditional behaviors and cultures to it to this day, and will be for a while, because it's a very high touch sort of industry in terms of people to people. So you are always networking because it is a very small industry. You'll be surprised by how many people maybe know about you, even in Australia or some, like as far as you can think about. Yeah. South America, someone will know about Cecilia in South America.
That's actually true.
There we go.
That's actually true.
It's a bit weird because when you, especially, like, it may be hard to understand, obviously, if you're early on, but the amount of people I've met who've had like 10, 15, 20, 30 years of career, so like, it's crazy. You go to an event, you don't know anyone, you meet several people that you know of, or they know about you and things like that. So it's a very small industry. So you're always networking. And by that, I mean, not just at work, not just at social events, not just when you're fine dining and maybe like having social interactions at events. It's always, you're going to your sort of local football club, you're actually networking in a sense because you're building relationship, because networking is not selling. It's not about asking for a job. It's not about doing sales. It's just about building connections and relationships. So second thing is to not only do it when you're looking for something, when you need something, is to kind of always be networking. Sometimes you're too busy to keep it on a weekly basis, but sometimes you're a little bit less busy, you can do a little bit more networking, because it's a very, very long-term game. So to say, it's not going to pan out within the next 2 weeks, it's going to be maybe next 2 or 3 years. And it works in very weird ways. Like when your friends can recommend you to jobs that you've been friends with for 10 years.
Yeah.
No, that's not working, but still it is a sense. And my last tip is, weirdly, if you can, keep a record. Something I didn't do early on. I didn't really do much networking early on either, but something that I would recommend is to try to keep some sort of list of who your contacts are, the people you work with, your student colleagues, your university professors, kind of who they are, maybe some contact details, if they have a LinkedIn profile, and try to follow up. Because if you have at least a list and 5 years later, you're like, oh, how's that professor doing? You don't have to go find them on the internet. You actually may have a list of it. Just see if you can keep a track.
That's some really good advice. And I completely back you up on the fact that the hospitality industry is really, really small. And I don't know about you, but I never landed a job in hospitality through a job application. It was about knocking on doors or knowing people. And that's how I made it happen, at least. And networking.
Yeah, networking, but it's not as obvious. People think it's super like.
No, but it can just going to someone's restaurant and being like, hey, and having dinner and chit-chatting for a little bit. Like, oh, but you work there. It's like, yes.
Yes, exactly. And then you probably have a couple of friends in common or something like that. It's a very you have to make it more casual. We have to really take away the stigma of networking and make it perceived less formal. Sometimes it's formal, sometimes it's informal, but the perception is that it's extremely formal and uptight, and it's not really the case.
Nah. Okay, and now we're gonna look a little bit into the future. I thought because obviously hospitality is changing a lot. At the moment, especially like you guys have been going through a rough time, as you mentioned, like being made redundant through the past. Thank you for that comment.
Thank you, Akash.
Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, thank you, Akash. Sorry, we had a comment in the chat. But like looking into the future and to see like what's gonna happen after all this that has happened now in the past almost 2 years now. Like what are some current or future trends that you're seeing in the field of hospitality that like us or people who are moving into this industry in like the closer future should be aware of?
Yeah, there's quite, depends on kind of which part of the industry you're looking at, but overall there are quite a few. In terms of staffing, there's obviously kind of an oxymoron of we don't have enough staff, but we also can't retain our staff. It's a bit of an oxymoron situation in terms of hotels and restaurants are desperately looking for people because people have left the industry because they found other ways of work while being furloughed or unemployed over the course of the last year. So it's a bit of a tricky situation there, but again, there is now a lot of opportunity for fresh graduates to get those jobs, to get in and get lots of experience. So there's some government schemes, depending which country you're in, that support these sort of things as well, that allow for hotels and companies to cover part of your salary, and the government covers part of your salary. At least in the UK there is one.
Yeah.
So it may be something that you can look into and stuff like that. So that's one of the sort of, when it comes to employability tips. Overall, there is huge competition for people. They want the best people. There are a lot of people applying. So again, there's a bit of a strange balance there, but also competition between the brands for customers, because they're all desperate for people to come back and stay with them, stay with their hotels. And if you look at the big brands of IHGs, Hiltons, Marriott's, and the likes, the big top ones, they're not struggling, but they are not performing as well as they did over the last few years. So they really are pushing and investing for people to come and stay with them and spend money with them, and investors to come along and join, and so on. So there's a interesting environment for more brands, for more niches, for more unique experiences. And I think now as customers, we've also changed our expectations when it comes to that. We want certain things, we want them our way, we're going to go on holiday, we're just going to commit to it. It's not going to be a half 3-day holiday, it's going to be a proper holiday. We're just going to go all in, because who knows when we're going to go holiday next. So I think people are willing to invest a bit more, and they are willing to spend the time and money to get exactly what they want. So there are some really interesting niches, I think, a couple popping up across different brands and different sort of industry sectors, but especially when it comes to your work. Like if you work for a Crown Plaza, don't like it. If you work for a Hilton, you don't like it. There are millions of independent and boutique properties. There are millions of businesses that may be digital, that you can work from home but still be in hospitality. You can be a freelancer. You can do many different things. So there are a lot more niches and a lot more sort of subdivisions of things, I think, are coming up, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's really hopeful, that the industry is asking, that there is opportunity still in the field, because I'm aware also that a lot of previous hospitality staff or employees have like made a career change and made it into the digital era, or into the digital field, I mean. So there is spots to fill, but also I wanted to ask you, I don't know if this is your expertise or anything, but you mentioned like the digitalization, and like there are digital opportunities within the field as well, which I guess that it's become like a safer path to go through after all the trauma that we've gone through. But what would you say about that? Is there a lot of opportunity? You just said that there were, but like, what are some examples of digital jobs that one could do?
I think one of the ways we can think about it is think about all the services, all the things that are in a hotel, and all the services that hotel uses as a business. There are a lot of software companies and technical companies that supply for hotels. And they may be based in Amsterdam, they may be based in London, but they are more agile than, say, the traditional hospitality. You're more likely to be able to work from another location for an extended period of time, and things like that, for example. That can be a perception of digital. I mean, it depends on what you want to do and what works for you, right? So if you want to be an entrepreneur and create a whole sort of career around helping people landing jobs, then you develop that, and then you're sort of selling courses, you're selling coaching, you become a coach and things like that. So, and you can specialize in hospitality industry, because I think personally, I don't think there's enough of uniqueness out there for career coaches in hospitality, because it's not the same. It's not the same as other general businesses. Maybe I just know too much about hospitality, not enough about the rest of the world, but I think it's quite a unique how to explain what you're really good at and how your experience is valuable. But
yeah, just be creative, I guess, and have a think about your likes and dislikes, and you'll find opportunities. Just as yourself. You created
still working on it.
Yeah, but still it's happening. Okay, thanks. Now we're going to move on to this last part of this interview, which are 3 quick questions that we ask everyone that come on these talks. And the first one is, and by the way, guys, after these 3 quick questions, you guys are going to be able to ask Maria any questions. I will pause the recording after this, and you guys can stay on and ask her questions live. So yeah, just wanted to drop that in there. So first question, what good in the world does your job do?
I'd like to, taking it from a brand manager perspective, it allows businesses to find their customers that are their ideal customers, and creating unique business opportunities for everyone, but also for you as a customer, finding things that are exactly the things you want, other substitutes.
And what part of your job makes you want to wake up in the morning?
So different, just so many different things. Like, I've had to learn sales, I've had to learn marketing for myself, and so many other things that are going on an everyday basis. If you need to get something done, you probably have to first learn how to do it, and then only think about outsourcing it.
And what advice would you give to someone looking to start exploring hospitality today, or marketing, I guess?
For hospitality, I would say just try different things, explore, gain different experiences. Don't just pick a field and kind of stick to it. Take the first 5 years, maybe 8, including a degree, to just try different things. Have short internships, volunteer at events, or do your own thing, like on the side of your studies or other work, and just gain as much experience as you can about different areas of the industry, about different functions, sales, marketing, front office, restaurants. And don't be too picky early on, because all of these experiences, however short and however varied, they will help you niche down into what you really like, to understand what you like, what you don't like, and kind of find that middle ground of what that could actually look like in the future as a role.
Love that. Thank you so much, Maria.
Thank you so much for having me.
Joining us today. For those of you who want to stay on, and yeah, and we will, if anybody, yeah, exactly. By the way, I was going to mention, if anybody wants to keep track of our events, go follow us on LinkedIn. We also have a newsletter actually as well that you can sign up to. I will pass you all the link afterwards, and you will find it under this video too. And yeah, that's it. Great. Goodbye to everyone watching the recording.